Dopamine is powerful, but it's also programmable. It responds to what you repeatedly associate with progress. If you train your brain to get dopamine from scrolling, escaping, or procrastinating, your nervous system will begin to crave avoidance. But if you intentionally rewire your responses, if you attach dopamine to meaningful, challenging, purpose-driven work, you flip the script. You ignite a supernatural alignment between your biology and your calling. You begin to desire the discomfort that leads to growth. You begin to crave the pain that precedes transformation. And that is where divine discipline is born. Not from forcing yourself through willpower, but from shaping your reward system to reflect heaven's priorities. You were not designed to chase dopamine hits that decay your character. You were designed to assign dopamine to every act of obedience, every bold move toward your purpose, every time you silence the inner voice of fear and say, "Oh, not today." Every small win, every hard task completed, every resistance overcome sends a signal into your brain that says, "This is who I am now." The dopamine is no longer attached to comfort. It's attached to courage. It's no longer tied to convenience. It's tied to calling. This is spiritual warfare at the level of neurochemistry, because the enemy doesn't just attack your faith. He hijacks your attention. He distorts your reward system so you seek the easy instead of the essential. But when you take dominion over your dopamine, you take dominion over your drive. You are no longer dragged by impulse. You are directed by purpose. This is not just about being productive. It's about being aligned with the image of God in you that was built for victory. It's about taking the most powerful system in your brain and turning it into an altar where your discipline is offered up as worship. If you want to change your life, change what excites you. Let the pursuit of your God-given mission be what fires up your nervous system. Let your habits scream to heaven that you are serious about growth. Let your neurochemistry confirm what your spirit already knows, that you are called to rise, wired to win, and born to conquer. Cortisol is often labeled the enemy, the stress hormone, the villain behind burnout and breakdown. But in truth, it's not your enemy. It's your early warning system. It was divinely designed to alert you, awaken you, and prepare you for action. Cortisol is not the problem. It's the misuse of stress that becomes the problem. In the right hands, stress is sacred. It sharpens your mind, heightens your awareness, strengthens your muscles, and ignites your focus. It is a gift that, when submitted to purpose, becomes power. The issue is that most people don't channel stress. They drown in it. They allow stress to build without a strategy. They absorb it emotionally, spiritually, and neurologically, and never convert it into something constructive. But you were not built to collapse under pressure. You were designed to transmute pressure into presence. For the very moment you feel cortisol rise is not a moment to retreat. It's a signal to lean in. It's your brain's way of saying something meaningful is at stake. Pay attention, prepare, pursue. When you view stress through the lens of purpose, everything changes. And knowing that what was once panic becomes preparation. What once paralyzed you now pushes you. But the key is what you attach the stress to. If you attach it to fear, it consumes you. If you attach it to mission, it consumes the obstacle. That shift is where spiritual warfare intersects with neurobiology. Because when your mind believes that your stress serves a greater calling, your body becomes a weapon, not a victim. Your heart rate stabilizes. Your cognition sharpens. Your endurance expands. You are no longer at the mercy of adrenaline, yet you are using it as fuel. God did not give you stress so you could live in anxiety. He allowed it so you would awaken to urgency. He built your biology to rise to a challenge, not to avoid it. And if you keep trying to pray stress away without understanding its purpose, you'll miss the sacred signal your body is sending. Your stress might be the very fire God is using to burn away distraction, to remove hesitation, to call you higher. But you have to train your mind to stop interpreting stress as suffering. You have to see it as a sign that something in your life is calling for greatness. You don't conquer stress by numbing it. You conquer it by naming it. You call it what it is. A divine pressure that reveals what you value, what you fear, and what you're willing to fight for. And once you know that, you no longer serve stress. It serves you. It becomes part of your strategy. It moves you forward, and every time you rise in the presence of pressure, your brain rewires a little more. You become resilient. You become resolved. You become refined. There is no destiny without resistance. There is no breakthrough without the burn. And every surge of stress, when yielded to God's purpose, becomes the very thing that makes you unshakable. Let the world run from pressure. You, child of purpose, were built to walk through fire and come out forged. Your breath is the remote control of your nervous system. It is the single most powerful tool God placed within you to command your physiology in real time. Every inhale, every exhale is not just oxygen exchange, it's spiritual alignment. When your world feels chaotic, your breath is your anchor. When your mind is scattered, your breath brings it home. Most people think change begins with thought, but transformation begins with breath. The moment you control your breathing, you begin to control your biology. And when you control your biology, you awaken your authority. The breath of life was the first gift humanity received from the Creator. He didn't speak you into existence. He breathed into your nostrils. That's not symbolic. It's sacred. And yet we live in a generation that has forgotten how to breathe. Fast, shallow, unaware, reacting to life instead of responding to it. Living in the fight or flight state without realizing they have the key to shift it at any moment. But when you take your breath seriously, you stop becoming a slave to your circumstances. You start activating the calm, clear, courageous version of yourself that is buried under layers of noise. Through deep, deliberate breathing, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the God-given switch for peace and presence. This is not just relaxation. This is recalibration. Your breath slows your heart, settles your mind, resets your hormones, and returns you to the place of inner command. And in that place, you don't just feel better, you think sharper, decide stronger, and lead better. You're not thrown off by distractions because your breath has brought your spirit back into dominion. This is not theory. It's spiritual warfare on a cellular level. It's how you tell your body, I'm not afraid. I am not overwhelmed. I am still, and I know who holds me. Even Jesus, in his final moment on the cross, didn't scream in chaos. He breathed, and the Spirit descended like a breath at Pentecost. The rhythm of your breath is the rhythm of your readiness. Warriors don't just train their minds, they master their breath. Leaders don't just speak words, they speak from a centered place of breath. Born clarity. Every powerful person you've ever met, every focused servant of God, every resilient soldier of purpose, they've learned to return to their breath in moments of warfare. It's how they stay rooted when storms rage. It's how they choose stillness when anxiety knocks. So if your life feels out of control, start with what's always within your control. Breathe in through your nose, slow and deep. Breathe out through your mouth, steady and full. Do it again and again. You're not just calming down, you're stepping up. You're reclaiming dominion over your body, your brain, and your moment. Because your breath doesn't just oxygenate, it activates. It's your access point to discipline, clarity, and divine alignment. It is the first tool of war and the last gift before peace. And it is yours. Your environment is not neutral. It is programming you every second. The space you live in, the people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the sounds, the smells, the lighting, every element is sending signals to your brain. Your neurobiology is constantly scanning your surroundings, asking, what should I become here? Oh, I become here. And most people don't realize their environment is not just influencing them. It's shaping their identity, their habits, their decisions, and their future. If your surroundings are chaotic, your mind begins to normalize chaos. If you live in clutter, confusion becomes your default fault. If you're surrounded by negativity, your brain adapts to protect itself. But in the process, it limits its potential. This is not about comfort. This is about wiring. The brain is an efficiency machine. It adapts to what is repeated. So if your environment constantly feeds you disorder, your mind stops resisting it and starts replicating it. But here's the truth most people overlook. Your environment is also a weapon, a sacred tool for transformation. If you deliberately design the spaces around you to reflect the person you are becoming, not the person you've been, your brain begins to stretch toward discipline, not shrink toward distraction. You're not just cleaning your room, you're clearing cognitive space. You're not just choosing silence, you're giving your nervous system room to hear the voice of purpose over the noise of pressure. When you elevate your environment, you elevate your expectations. Look at the patterns in Scripture. Whenever God prepared someone for greatness, he first altered their environment. He led them into wilderness, into quiet, into caves, into deserts, not to isolate them, but to rewire them. Your transformation always starts with separation, sometimes from people, sometimes from noise, sometimes from the very comfort zones that dulled your edge, because the environment you tolerate becomes the standard you operate from. So ask yourself, is your environment inspiring the warrior within you or feeding the weakness around you? Is your home set up for discipline or for distraction? Is your digital world helping you focus or fragmenting your attention? If you want to rise, design a place where rising is the only option. Put the books where your distractions used to be. Place reminders of your mission where laziness used to sit. Fill your space with symbols of purpose, sounds of peace, and systems that serve your calling, not sabotage it. You don't need more motivation. You need an ecosystem that makes the right behavior automatic. Build an altar with your environment, a place where your brain enters the zone before you even think about it. Let your space preach louder than your excuses. Let your surroundings reflect the standard of heaven, not the comfort of culture. Because when your environment is aligned with your purpose, your biology follows. And when your biology follows, your discipline becomes destiny. Your brain is a battlefield where comfort and calling collide, and the enemy is not always external. It's the subtle voice that says, you've done enough when you've barely begun. It's the pull toward easy when your spirit was made for endurance. Discipline doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with conviction. And that conviction must be stronger than the dopamine hit of delay. Your neurobiology is hardwired to seek what's pleasurable and avoid what's painful. But if you don't train it, it will betray you. It will push you toward ease and away from excellence. You must become a master of meaning, because meaning overrides pleasure. When your brain knows why something matters, it endures the discomfort required to achieve it. That's not theory. It's how we're built. People who live with purpose literally feel less pain, recover faster, and sustain effort longer. Why? Because their neurochemistry responds differently to hardship. They've rewired their reward system around obedience to vision, not reaction to circumstance. Discipline is not just about doing hard things. It's about building a brain that craves the hard things because they bring alignment with who you're called to become. Every time you choose structure over impulse, you strengthen neural circuits that favor purpose over pleasure. Every time you delay gratification, you grow spiritual muscle. You don't just resist temptation. You retrain the very systems that generate desire. Foyer, that's how God designed neuroplasticity, not to be used by distraction, but to be commanded by devotion. And here's what the world won't tell you. True freedom is not the absence of rules. It's the power to choose the right ones. When you submit your biology to your beliefs, your feelings stop dictating your future. You no longer need to wait until you feel like it. You act because it's time, not because it's comfortable. You show up because your identity has already decided what your emotions have yet to agree with. That's discipline. It's not rigidity. It's holy order. Even your habits of thought become loops in your brain. Negative thoughts, lazy patterns, passive scrolling, they carve pathways. But so do declarations of faith, moments of gratitude, bold decisions. Your brain will follow the pattern you repeat the most. So what are you rehearsing? Weakness or strength? Complaining or commanding? Excuses or execution? You were designed to take dominion over it. That means fasting when others indulge, rising when others retreat, focusing when others drift. You are not just building mental toughness. You are aligning with divine authority, because discipline is worship. It's the offering of your body and your will to something higher than your urges. And when you do that long enough, you don't just build a strong life, you become a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable, not because you felt like it, but because you were trained for it.